Hey, what's up? My name's Christian, and I figured since I had to do an IRP, which is an independent reading, and I had to do a project for it in school, I figured I'd probably make a YouTube video for it. And, well, alright, my independent reading book was about Ernest Hemingway's, For Whom the Bell Tolls. I actually got one from my library and one from my local bookstore, Barnes & Noble. Yeah, gotta love them. And I actually read both. I got this one really close to the project, and I had to get an extension to fully read it. But they're both pretty much the same. And what I'm going to do in the video is practically go through a summary of what it is. Now, this video is done in a rush. I have to go places and do things. But I figure I will go through some of it, and I will read the back to you from both. I'll explain some of the plot, but there will be no spoilers at all, which is part of the great thing. I'm doing this on my computer camera, so it's not as great as it should be. But both backs pretty much say the same thing, say the stuff about Ernest Hemingway, great writer. I'm actually going to look up more books about Ernest Hemingway, but for the one I got at my library. Now, this is the one I actually prefer more, because in this one, they speak Spanish in both books, but in this one, the words and definitions were much more defiant than in this one. So, even though I took Spanish for 2 years, this one still confused me a bit. I had to get help from a Spanish translator. So, in this book, you can see pretty good spaces on the pages and stuff, but time to get down to what we're all here to know about the book. The book takes place in Spain, and for people who don't know, Spain, they speak Spanish, or, yeah, Spanish. Oh gosh, I'm out of it today. And if you don't know Spanish, some of the parts can be confusing, because they can say, que va. I can't remember what que va means, but it's what something, or Chio. Chio is like boy. But in Ernest Hemingway's For Whom the Bell Tolls, it was based in well, actually not based. It was based before the American Revolution. So actually no, it's based during the American Revolution, before it actually fully happened. But he wrote it in 1937. He traveled to Spain to cover the Civil War, so already we got a pretty good plot going. Civil War, who doesn't love a Civil War book? And he was there for the North American Newspaper Alliance. 3 years later, he completed the great novel, which is his book here. So fancy. One of the best things I found about this book out was he went actually over there to write it. He didn't just be like most people and just wrote from afar. It's like, oh, I already know everything over there. But a really good book. And in this one, it says, written in 1937, Ernest Hemingway traveled to Spain. Let me find where I found it. El Cerrado, The Last Stand. So practically, what the book is based about is these undercover agents. Americans would call them agents, but everywhere else would practically call them spies. So I'm probably going to call them a little bit of both throughout the whole thing. But these undercover agents are sent to blow up a bridge. Now this is based way back when, before the telegraph, before cell phones. So there was none of this stuff. Yeah, couldn't find it anywhere. We had, basically, in the whole ideal, the most you would have was probably this, but older fashioned, with a paper and quill, and the fastest way to get it around places was probably horseback. Now, for people who don't know, horseback does take a long time, because the horse is a living creature. It needs rest and food as well. Unlike a locomotive, it doesn't. And this is way back when. so no way to know if you need to call off the attack. But this group was sent with TNT, and I'll get into explain TNT a little bit more here in a second. And practically, TNT... so I was going to explain that here in a minute. But, might as well explain now. TNT is a very reactive substance. It loves to go boom. That's what it does great. And, it just naturally, and it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Dangerous to carry. And they were carrying it, and if it gets wet, it's very dangerous because it could explode, it could not detonate. And the problem with TNT is I'm looking up right now because I don't fully know what's in TNT. TNT, what's in it? There's sulfur. There's but there's a lot of things in there. Trinitrolide, that chemical compound in itself is dangerous for humans because if that gets into our lungs, it could cause very harmful diseases. But they were carrying it all the way down to this one area where the enemy troops could get reinforcements from. And this area was cut off. So on a map, and I'm going to show you with both my books. So in order to actually get across, let's say this side right here is the side that the Civil War is actually going on. And this side over here is where all your reinforcements are. You're going to need to get a bridge to get through that gap. And practically what they were sent to do was to take TNT and blow up that bridge. Now, the main problem you'll see in throughout the whole book is they don't know if the war's over or not. So they're sitting here constantly going, is it over? Is it still going on? Do we need to blow it up? Do we don't? And throughout the whole book, it will come back to that topic and say, hey, it's still a thing. We don't know what to do. And another problem with this book is not with the book itself, with the people who faced it, is they're all different characters coming from different lines of, I want to say, family, of religion and stuff. Because they will disagree on certain things. Like, in one parts of the book, they'll be like, let's go blow it up. And they'll be like, no, we don't know if it's over or not. And also, another problem with it is they need the specific time to blow it up. If they blow it too soon or too late, if they blow it too soon, the reinforcements will know, and they will be told to go back and take it the other route. And if they blew it too late, the reinforcements would have already gotten past and would start fighting eventually with the rebel army. I think it was the rebels. The one challenge for me reading this book is some parts of it are really dull and gray because it's most of the time it's them sitting in a cave talking, and it gets really boring really fast for me when that happens. For people who know me, I need a lot of action. And actually, when I first started reading, when I first saw the title, I thought it was for a mystery novel, and I love reading mystery novels because I can figure it out who it is practically sooner. But the main problem they faced was, do we blow up the bridge and risk starting war again after so many years of peace, or do we not and let it go and let reinforcements show up and betray our country? So there's big problems in there. Now, a little spoilers coming up. My favorite part in this whole book right here, all of it, was these two guys, and I forget their names. I think it was Robert and one of the people they kept calling a gypsy. All they wanted to do for a while was steal a tank. And then it was like, it's a stealth mission. Why would we need a tank? And there's like, why wouldn't you need a tank? And that was pretty much the highlight of my book, part of the reading of it. There are a lot of good points. The character design. Ernest Hemingway, if you were still alive, I would give you a hug for making them this way. At the start, they're kind of mysterious. They don't really tell you the names at the very start, like in a normal book. They'd be like, "Hi, this is Jenna, blah blah blah." Most of the time, I mean, they actually don't say their names. They call each other by code names, I would call them, and most of the time they call this one guy Gypsy. And but the thing is, he slowly builds them into character. He's like, you don't really know if you're going to like this person yet, or if you're going to hate their guts. This is going to be something randomized. This is going to be completely new, completely different. And I found it to be actually, I would consider this to be a mystery novel, just figuring out who the characters are. And it was pretty good on how they did that. So, A+ so far. One of the downsides of the book, like I've already said, it's slow, and slow books sometimes can make you go to sleep. So, but one of the downside is, again, the Spanish part. I do get they're in Spain, they would speak Spanish, but this is America, and if you take English and Spanish out of the if you take Spanish and English out the languages out of our schools, the third highest language we learn is German, and I'm pretty sure not many Germans know Spanish. But in total of pages, for people who are like, oh, it's a really long book, oh no, don't be like that. It is about, in the one I got from a library, it's 471 pages, and I believe it's about the same. Yeah, 471 in both books. They're really great books, and I highly recommend reading them. The plot and the theme, strong plot. The plot is they don't know if they need to blow up this bridge or not, and the theme is sort of. I really want to know what to put on the theme, so it's actually kind of whatever you want the theme to be. Yeah, like sure, it's not going to be rainbows and ponies, but it's going to be something on the lines of mysterious and misleading, because most of the time people won't actually notice. But the Robert, I think that was his name. Yeah, Robert actually gets into some trouble. And most of the time tends to avoid the TNT that they brought. And sometimes, while you're reading the book, you'll notice that multiple times they'll go over there and check the TNT. Well, fun fact, if TNT gets wet, it becomes even more reactive than it already is. In the end, it's very dramatic. It is very high. I was on the edge of my seat for a little bit of it. And then I sort of jumped and was like, okay, I was happy. But it's a really good book. I highly recommend you all read it. This is not sponsored by any other people. So no Audible, no bookstores or anything. This is just me doing a project for school. And I figured I'd share it with you guys. And one last thing. Like and subscribe. Peace.